former Director General of Police. Our special guest, Mr. P. Murari IAS, retired, advisor to the FICCI President and former Secretary to the President of India. Ms. Deepali Goyal, Chairperson, FICCI Flow, Chennai. Captain R. Vijay Kumar, Executive Director, Madras Management Association. Mr. P.V. Vasant Kumar, Director of Promoter Consultants. And Mr. Ruben Hobday, Additional Director and Head, FICCI, Tamil Nadu State Council. I request all the guests to kindly take the stage, please. Thank you. I now request Ms. Deepali Goyal, Chairperson, FICCI Flow, to present the welcome address. Please, ma'am.
A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of FICCI, I welcome each one of you for today's seminar on the Prevention of Sexual Harassment of Women's Act. FICCI has always been actively involved in discussions and debate around various issues related to company law, governance, and has several initiatives along with the government and its various agencies and acts as a bridge between the policy maker, regulator, and industry participants and development of business in India. The HR committee, constituted by FICCI, has always been creating awareness on contemporary issues, value creation for the business entities, and taking up larger issues that require government intervention. In our fast-paced life, work plays an important role, not just in giving us economic freedom or stability, but also in creating our identity. Every person, immaterial of age, religion, gender, seniority, or designation, plays an important role in ensuring workplace safety. Enabling a safe, secure, and inclusive work environment for women is a collective responsibility, not just of the employer, but every employee in the organization. The workplace culture in India is evolving in many ways. Boundaries of professional conduct often get muddled. In order to prevent workplace sexual harassment from becoming the norm, it's important to understand what amounts to sexual harassment as well as redressal available under law to prevent or deal with issues of workplace sexual harassment. The Sexual Harassment of Women, Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013, along with the rules therein the Posh laws, identify a broad set of definitions in this regard. The Posh Act has been enacted with the objective of prevention and protection of women against workplace sexual harassment and assuring them a safe, secure, and dignified work environment. Today's session is an opportunity for all members to understand the nuances of the regulatory policies and law, as well as a discussion on the challenges in implementation in the workplace, to impart extensive understanding on prevention, prohibition, and redressal in the workplace environment and challenges faced by employers with focus on ensuring that there is a compliance with the law. To discuss these issues about possible changes that need to be made in this context, as well as how all stakeholders can go one step ahead of the law in ensuring that the workplace is welcoming for all. Awareness is the key for creating a healthy and safe work environment. This session should make us conscious of the unconscious bias which is hidden often deep within us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I now request Mr. Vasant Kumar, Director of Promoter Consultants, to present the team address. Please, sir.
Good morning to everybody. distinguished guests on dais, and various HR and law professionals, other educational institute representatives also there. I am welcoming one and all. Seminar on Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act, Posh. It was conceived during our discussion in HR panel, where more than 20 HR experts are members. In that panel, we discussed various acts we are discussing, labor laws, employee relation, related acts. But one act which came in 2013, still awareness is very less. Whether Posh Act is applicable to my institute or my company, my farm, this is a big question everybody is having. Even if it is applicable, what kind of committee I have to form? How many members should be there? What they will do if some complaints come? Whether that will be a end if that committee is giving a verdict, whether there is a appeal process, what level it will end. There are a lot of questions are lingering in our minds of our industry and the institutes who are governing the things. One thing I used to tell, our culture, Indian culture, particularly giving more importance to women earlier. Even we used to call our country as a motherland, Janani Janmabhoomi. Then we given names of all perennial rivers, women only, Kaveri, Ganga, Yamuna, kind of things. Such a culture, valuable culture we had. But after some time, there is a lot of deviations. In this context, I used to tell, ignorance of fact is excusable. Ignorance of law is not excusable. The seminar, why we are conducting this seminar is, long bygone are the days when men used to be the sole breadwinner of a family. Globalization has brought radical change in the status of women worldwide. However, the larger influx of women in the mainstream of workforce of India, sexual harassment at workplace has assumed a greater dimensions. Workplace sexual harassment is a form of gender discrimination which violates a woman's fundamental right to equality, right to life, guaranteed under our Constitution, Article 14, 15, 21. These are the three articles, very important. If sexual harassment is uncontrolled, that means we are violating these articles. Workplace sexual harassment not only creates an insecure and hostile work environment for women, but also impedes their ability to deliver in today's competing world. Apart from interfering with their performance at work, it also adversely affects their social and economic growth and puts them through physical and emotional sufferings, which will last long. India's first legislation specifically addressing the issue of workplace harassment, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act 2013, Posh Act, was enacted by the Ministry of Women and Child Development, India in 2013. The government also subsequently notified the rules under Posh Act titled the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Rules 2013. The year 2013 witnessed the formulation of criminal law amendment, because when we brought this Posh Act, there should be an amendment in criminal law also. It was also done, which has criminalized offences such as sexual harassment and stalking and voyeurism. Statement of objects and reasons. Sexual harassment at workplace Prevention, Prohibition, Redressal Act, the POS Act, has been enacted with the objective of preventing, protecting women against workplace sexual harassment and to ensure effective redressal of compliance of sexual harassment. While the statute aims at providing every woman, irrespective of her age or employment status, a safe, secure and dignified working environment, free from all forms of harassment, proper implementation of the provision of the statute remains a challenge. Why means, that is why to bring awareness about this act, to make more viable implementation, we are organizing this seminar. I want to quote why a small deviation, a small non-observation of a act rules will lead to a bigger disaster. There was a big multinational company which I know, they had faced a big problem because of a small incident, a sexual harassment act, which taken the toll of CEO. Same sexual harassment, even it won't let down a central minister who is known for his knowledge, capabilities. Because of this sexual harassment, he has to resign from the position. What I am telling is, this Sexual Harassment Act awareness is very essential for not only for industries, educational institutes, even so any organizations, government agencies, everywhere, wherever women are working, the act will applicable. That awareness means whether it is applicable, what is meant by sexual harassment, what deems to be sexual harassment, whom it will applicable, how to constitute a committee, how to make an appeal, what should be the punishment. There are lot of questions. This entire day, today's seminar will answer your queries. It will make you to understand the theme, why this Sexual Harassment Act, Posh Act came, what is the purpose, how it can be served better will be discussed. Two eminent lawyers are going to cover today morning session. 2 sessions will be there about Posh Act in 2 parts. After that, there will be after lunch, there will be a big debate where HR fraternity and experts in law will be debating and clarifying lot of your doubts. This will be the flow of this seminar. I wish all of you to participate and question and get clarified. Thank you one and all for you.
Thank you, sir. As the convener of FICCI HR committee, you have given a great support in organizing this seminar. Thank you. I now request our group captain, R. Vijay Kumar, retired, Executive Director of Madras Management Association, to present the introductory remarks. Please, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dignitaries on the stage, especially Chief Guest Latika Charan, my well-wisher, Guru, and we always look up to you with reverence, sir, Mr. Murari. You have been a source of inspiration for us. Dipali, Vasant, I think the great day of knowledge sharing is there going today. And Ruben, thank you for joining us. It's indeed a privilege for me to share with you our thoughts. And let me tell you, MMA is established in 1956, more than 64 years old, because there are a couple of new members, invitees from FICCI. For their sake, we tell them we do more than 750 events in a year. This building belongs to MMA with more than 24,000 square foot of area. So idea is, our job is propagate management movement. That's why when FICCI approached us that we want to do this event jointly, we readily accepted in spite of so many events we are doing in a tight schedule. Because we have an event even tomorrow fixed here. Coming to the act, which Mr. Vasant has clearly elucidated why we are doing this. It all happened, you all know, the expert is going to speak with you. It's the backbone of this is the Vishaka committee report. Thereafter, nothing happened. Then based on the court ruling, many things get happen in India because the court directors do that. The act got passed in 2013 with the criminal intent if you don't really obey the Prevention of Societies Act, criminal Posh Act in the year 2013. But thereafter, though the act was involved, the number of people who got really punished for violating the act is, if you see the data, which I'm sure the expert will share with you, which is very, very well limited actually, not really happening. And one such thing is we have to bring in a lot of awareness. Even I don't know how many of you read the newspaper this morning, the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister announced a Gundas Act. If you have a prevention of sexual harassment, if you you'll get arrested under Gundas Act. I know how many people are going to get arrested with Gundas Act, but I know what is going to do good. Though we put a very important act, Helmet Act. You're not able to really implement helmet. So what really it means is we have to sensitize, we have to educate people that rule of law, then only it can be very, very successful. While we focus on Posh, MMA, we do a lot of think tank and a lot of act along with McKinsey. We do a lot of work with women in power of parity. Because if you see the power of parity, the contribution of Indian women to the GDP is very, very negligible in relation to the people from all over the world, other countries. Now, why does the discrimination happen? One of the reasons is gender abuse. Many people refuse to go to the work, and almost 48% of the women folks work in the agriculture sector, while our position is much better when compared to Afghanistan, Pakistan, where 72% work in agriculture sector. And one of the reasons what we should make is make them educationally viable and they are technically sound. One thing what the government has initiated, the data shows the women spend, while we contribute to GDP is very limited. If you take actually the women, how much they contribute for household work in terms of the cooking, looking after the children, I think the contribution to GDP is much, much higher than what others industries do. So what really it means is our women get so busy with other work which is not measured. Each one of you do some phenomenal work looking after the family. And in fact, they say if you create a good environment for women, clean water, good cooking facilities in terms of, I think government has already given, where they've given a free connection of cooking gas to all women. And the target was 15 million. We have more than 20 million achieved. Such initiative really makes the women more bolder. They get more time to upskill themselves. Why I'm telling this? Because upskilling for women is very important. The future of women at work is a recent study which is given by McKinsey about a month back. If you read that, it's very scary. The way if the women don't, as there's a lot of gender discrimination in the workplace. If the women don't adapt themselves to the skilling and the way the artificial intelligence and machine learning is going to be implemented in many of the areas where women unskilled labor working is going to have a serious impact at them. You all know women work in a large number in textile, education, healthcare. And those are the areas which is going to be really implemented by implementation of the artificial intelligence women. So why I'm telling you this, though is not relevant to Posh, but the women need to upskill them. Women need to come forward and take thing, and they need to be a part of the society to say, challenge the men in terms of the women, in terms of work. They can do very well in some of the areas where men don't really well, and especially one area where artificial intelligence, women do very well. That's what the data shows actually. So with this, I know a lot of you are watching this. We are taking this program live on Facebook, live on YouTube, because we wanted to reach this program as many people as possible. I know large number of viewers, our members watch from different part of India, and especially our chapters located, large number of management students. And what I want to conclude is this event you must learn, but make sure the women folks, your organization people, they all get upskill, reskill, keep doing, and it should be a lifelong learning so that the women get empowered to face any consequence in life. I always want to conclude with saying that I'm a strong believer in the statement of Mahatma Gandhi ji. What he said, when the woman can walk alone at night, that's the day we got our independence. So I think keeping this in mind, this seminar is a step in the right direction, FICCI, and compliment them. And we are indeed delighted to join them and presenting this one-day seminar. Have a great day and stay back, enjoy the lunch, enjoy the atmosphere, and wish you a great day of one-day seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your kind self and your entire team of MMA has rendered a great help to FICCI in bringing this seminar together. Thank you once again, sir. I now request Honorable Chief Guest, Srimati Latika Sharan, IAPS, retired, former Director of Police, former Director General of Police, to present the inaugural address. Please, ma'am.
Mr. Murari, Ms. Goel, Mr. Vasanta Kumar, Mr. Habde, and Captain Vijay Kumar. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to be here today, and I really must compliment FICCI and all the other organizations who have joined to come up with this particular seminar, because it is very, very important. I have the privilege of rambling on. I'm told I have that since there was supposed to be one more person who hasn't come. However, when I was under training and had gone for my district training, one of the things I was told in conversation was that the previous year, women constables had been recruited in 4 cities, and when the recruitment was done in that particular place, the SP, then the recruitment process wasn't as rigid or strict as it is now, or transparent for that matter. And when the SP did the recruitment, he had to only recruit, I think, 13 or 15 constables. He had decided that after all the things that they had to do were finished, that he would eliminate some of them on the basis of their looks, which meant, he said, anyone who was good-looking or pretty would not be taken in. He did not want anybody who was good-looking to be taken in. And this caused quite a lot of amusement in the town, but, and when it was told to me, I was brand new in the service, I really didn't think too much about it. Just let it be as it was. Because in those days, teasing was supposed to be something harmless. It was that you've got to be a good sport. I mean, whether a girl teased a girl or a boy teased a boy or boys teased girls, it was just considered harmless. But my 36 years in service definitely told me that this teasing is not, I underline the word, is not harmless. In fact, it is quite disastrous. Sexual harassment, as it's going to be told over and over again today, is unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and or verbal open physical contact of a sexual nature. What does it do? Before I go into this, what does it do? Let me just mention one thing. Physical attributes of a woman alone do not invite unwelcome attention. You don't have to be good looking. You don't have to have a good figure. You don't have to be smart. You just need to be a woman, a girl, in order to be harassed. That is the unwelcome, absolute, uncomfortable truth. What does this do? It undermines and destroys working relationships. There was an instance of a girl who had joined a particular company who was constantly being harassed by a co-worker. He would send her pornographic pictures, make uncomfortable statements, try touching her if he could. And at that time, she went to the HR and complained. No action was taken, so she put in a complaint in writing. And once she did that, it meant that they had to do something about it. And instantaneously, all the other workers, the other co-workers, started pleading with her to take back her complaint. Because they said, oh, you know, he didn't mean it. It's not something very big. The HR to whom she had complained first actually told her it's not a big deal. But reality was that it was a very, very big deal. What happened? HR did do an inquiry. They found that what she said was the truth. Procedure followed, and this man was kicked out of the company. But what was the reverse process that took place? This lady started getting ostracized. Everybody thought that she was responsible for him leaving the company. In a sense, yes. But they took it in a different way. He's lost his job. What will his family do? They're out on the street. Nobody thought about her. What did this do to her? They ostracized her, and I regret to say at the end of the day, she just felt she couldn't carry on in that environment, and she quit the job. So getting harassed can have a devastating effect on the health, the mental well-being and morale, and of the performance of work, the work output of the affected person. And this is the person who really requires to be helped out, not the one who is the aggressor. There are many beliefs that a lot of people have with regard to employment. I'm going to stick more on that part of the organization or the employment. Many employers believe that they own the employee body and soul, which also means that they can do whatever they want with the woman employee. I don't think I need to expand on this at all. Sometimes this nonsense begins even before the lady joins the company. There's an IT company located somewhere on the GST, which had advertised for young IT professionals to join it, and they were called in for an interview. A smart young lady went for the interview. She must have been the last one to go in. They were being interviewed by the CEO of the said company. The interview was nothing about her capabilities or what she knew, how she could help the company. On the contrary, it just consisted of him making unwelcome advances, making her extremely uncomfortable, and him virtually telling her that, I'll give you the job, but in return, these are the favors which are required. She managed to get out of the place as fast as possible and did the most sensible thing going, which was going to the nearest police station and giving a complaint. Fortunately, Section 354A of the IPC was very much in force, having come into being in 2013. So the CEO was arrested and put behind bars. There is a responsibility on the part of the organization, be it in the public sector, the private sector, the government sector, wherever it is, there is a responsibility on the part of the organization that they are responsible for creating an environment which is free from sexual harassment for all their employees. Going alongside with it is that there has to be a redressal mechanism. This is very, very important. It is creation of the ICC, and ICC does not mean the cricket ICC. This is the Internal Complaints Committee. In many organizations, unfortunately, the ICC does not exist. Somebody in the HR department is asked to do this work. And when there isn't an ICC, it causes quite a lot of problems. Many of you would have read this in the newspapers some years ago. A student who was studying in one of the universities, rather she was doing her research, found herself in a very uncomfortable position because the guide kept asking her to stay on, started showing her things on his computer that she didn't need to see at all, and generally harassed her and told her that if she did not submit, her research is virtually over. The girl told her other classmates, they didn't know what to do. There was nobody they could go to and tell. And even some of the other lady teachers were not able to, professors were not able to help them out. The girl told her parents. The parents came and complained to the Vice Chancellor of the university, but nothing happened. So the girl and her father went and complained to the local police, who then registered a case and arrested the said guide. And that was when the university, everybody started saying, oh, we didn't know this was sexual harassment. But you know, he does that most of the time. And then when this whole question came up, where is the complaints committee? They said, we didn't even know that was necessary, it doesn't exist. So the complaints committee is a must. It's an absolute must. Any organization which has more than 10 employees has to have an internal complaints committee consisting of 4 members, headed by the senior-most lady in the organization, and it should also have 1 member from either the legal fraternity or the social welfare fraternity, so that you have the outside voice also coming in. There are other responsibilities of organizations, and one of them is exactly what we are sitting into now, which is awareness and training. Now, awareness, I would say, is very, very important. And the reason goes like this. There is a famous NGO which a young lady joined as an intern, and then she was made permanent over there. But her immediate boss was a person who wanted a lot of favors from her, who told her that it was in her interest to submit because then she could go up the ladder in the organization. And when they went out for a conference to another city, he gets drunk and calls her to his room in the night and says, look, I've canceled the booking of your room because somebody else required it. You can share the room with me. She went out, she complained to all her colleagues, and then she was told, oh, he's doing it with you also, is it? And that's when she learned that this is what he did with every single lady who came into the organization. And as in that NGO, they called him a serial harasser. I mean, I don't think there's a more, demeaning word than saying that somebody is a serial harasser. Demeaning for the organization. They demean themselves. You got somebody who is doing this and you have done nothing about it. And the other people over there, the other workers, do not understand that this is not supposed to be as it has been happening. They have to do something about this person who is continually harassing women. So that is where the entire factor of awareness comes in. Only if people are aware of the act, are aware of what constitutes sexual harassment, and I think that will be dealt with in the sessions that follow, are the others going to realize that this is very, very serious? It is not a joke, it's a crime. The Indian Penal Code recognizes sexual harassment as a crime. And that is what every member of any organization, the entire working fraternity, should consider sexual harassment as a crime. Something where the aggressor should be taken, some action should be taken against the aggressor, and where the victim has got to be assisted. The assistance need not be monetary all the time, but at least it can be of an unspoken kind where people make her understand that they understand what is happening and they want to help her out. The second thing is to ensure that this internal complaints committee is also trained, because there are often cases where the committee decides that, oh, what she's said is not correct for several reasons, or they might come to a conclusion that the aggressor is a very, very important person, very important to the organization, and therefore they cannot let him go. And tell the victim that, no, he's too important. Therefore, the Internal Complaints Committee also has to get adequate training to deal with such complaints. It's important that members of the committee empathize with a person who comes and complains about sexual harassment. When they empathize with the person, they are not supposed to regard what she is saying from their own moral judgment. Take it as what she is saying is correct and start from that point. There's another factor which becomes very important, and that is subjectivity. A sexual act, when it is unwelcome, is sexual harassment. And that word unwelcome is what the victim feels. It is not unwelcome as you or me feel. It's only the person who has been harassed who can tell you what that word unwelcome means. And this is something that the committee must understand before they proceed further. It's very, very important to remember that it's the complainant's perception that is important and not the transgressors. The impact on the harassed is all that matters. If an organization which has been caught up in this kind of a problem takes disciplinary action on each and every case of sexual harassment, it does wonders for the organization and for the morale of the women. It uplifts the morale of the victim. It acts as a warning to others not to try the same thing. It also avoids this excuse of the "I did not mean it" syndrome. Ignore the complainant, and then the aggressor will start getting even more aggressive, because he will then take it as this has been consent or accepted behavior. It therefore behoves every organization to be proactive. It's good if you can monitor, take a proactive stance, check on information about anyone who is tending to harass co-workers or subordinates. It's very important to remain alert to an employee who might have suddenly started not turning up for work. Excessive absenteeism could be shying away from doing something or withdrawing themselves from doing the work. There may be a total loss of motivation, and you might find that there are negative changes vis-a-vis her when it comes to work. Her productivity is gone low, and maybe physical appearance also is showing a total lack of motivation on our part. Check these causes. If you can take the remedial steps, it means that you are saving one life, maybe you're saving many lives. Having said this, I take great pleasure in inaugurating this seminar, and I hope that you have a very, very fruitful day with discussions ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for inaugurating this seminar and for giving us some insights about the prevailing scenario and also ways to deal with such complaints. Thank you. I now request Mr. P. Murari, IAS, retired, advisor to the FICCI President and former Secretary to the President of India, to share a few words. Please, sir.
Mrs. Latika Saran, Ms. Goyal, Mr. Vijay Kumar, Major, my colleague Ruben Hobday, distinguished participants, distinguished members of the Fourth Estate, ladies and gentlemen. My apologies to all of you. I was not supposed to speak, and I must say that after listening to some outstanding speeches, especially the inaugural address by Latika Saran, I have known and admired her since the days when she was DGP, and she did stupendous work in this special area. Therefore, after listening to all of them, I was very reluctant to come here because what I am going to say would be akin to carrying coals to Newcastle. Anyway, I must say that listening to all of them and looking at this distinguished audience, I walked down memory's lane and had a sense of déjà vu because a few years back, I had the privilege of presiding over a similar conference relating to sexual harassment. But I had two outstanding, formidable ladies, one to my left and one to my right, talking about sexual harassment. And they are most eminently qualified to speak on that subject. I'm alluding to Kiran Bedi on my left and Menaka Gandhi on my right. And it was an outstanding seminar, and they expatiated at great length on what should be done, the problems of sexual harassment at workplace, and all that. Unfortunately, down the years after that lecture, I feel a sense of great disappointment because the scourge relating to sexual harassment has not abated but exacerbated. And we find that this has assumed epidemic proportions. What do we do about it? We have heard very good expatiation of the various problems, how to do it. My only problem has been, we know that the problem exists. It has assumed, as I said, epidemic proportions. It has not spared anyone, not only at the lower levels, echelons relating to the villages and small towns, but has permeated into cities, into corporates, giant corporates. You know that case of Google recently, and also into multinational organizations. You have complaints in the IMF, you have had complaints in the World Bank about sexual harassment in the workplaces. So we know that the problem exists, the magnitude of the problem, and you're talking about ways and means to it. But the whole problem is, how do we finally eliminate this scourge? This is the problem we face. It is the how which we are faced with. And I think this distinguished gathering in the seminar to come will be able to specifically pinpoint recommendations which would finally try to find out how we do to handle this problem. I recall that a distinguished senior colleague of mine once proudly told me that he had no problems relating to a complaints of sexual harassment because whenever he had a lady colleague or a lady subordinate come to his room, he always used to have a male subordinate or a colleague in his room and also had a digital recorder in front of him. I thought it was extending the whole case to ridiculous lengths, but this is the problem which we face, and therefore there is a thin dividing line between what should be looked at, because you should not use this for taking a sort of a revenge on your person for reasons other than sexual harassment. There are various issues involved. In fact, I was talking to Ms. Goyal as to how we can think in terms of protection, because sexual harassment need not necessarily be physical in scope. It could be mental also. So how do we differentiate between physical harassment and mental harassment, and how do we solve this problem? So this is something which assumes a very major dimensions, and therefore we have to look into these two aspects of it, and therefore think in terms of ways and means to eliminate this. Of course, I was talking about physical harassment, whether we can think in terms of providing martial arts training for people in schools, colleges, and people, so that you can defend yourself, apart from pepper spray and other things we can think of. But at the same time, relating to mental harassment, how do we do that? These are some things I think you should cogitate, and in this seminar, think in ways and means to see, first, define the subject, articulate what are the issues involved, and then think in terms of remedial measures to see that the whole thing, there is a holistic approach to the whole thing, and we cannot think in terms of this particular scourge to be eliminated in a day or even in a month or even a year. But I think one should think in terms of two areas. To think in terms of a short-term perspective, a medium-term perspective, and finally a long-term perspective. And it's a long-term perspective which ultimately might provide a basic solution to this major problem. Therefore, I think please bear in mind some of the aphorisms and very critical points which had been raised by our chief guest this morning, because I think this contains the germ of what needs to be done for the future. And I think this should be the lodestar and the basic foundation for the springboard on which you should build up what you need to do in the future and work out recommendations which will be adaptable, adoptable, and then easily accessible to everybody else. And therefore, I must once again pay my respectful regards and thanks to all the major speakers, Mr. Vijay Kumar, Ms. Goyal, and our chief guest, and and then say that let us have a very fruitful afternoon, and let us really think in terms of implementable solutions and look for a bright and successful future. Let me conclude by saying eternal vigilance is a price of elimination of sexual harassment at the workplace. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of FICCI, I request Mr. P. Murari, IAS, to kindly honor our chief guest, Ms. Latika Sharan, IPS, with a memento. Please, sir. National Director and Head of FICCI Tamil Nadu State Council to present the vote of thanks. Please, sir.
Good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to this very useful and a very relevant seminar on Prevention of Sexual Harassment Act. I'd like to thank especially our chief guest today for readily agreeing to be here today. In fact, we just told her the chief guest is not coming, so you need to inaugurate it. She readily accepted that also. We'd like to thank her for being here and also taking us from what a teasing is into a crime. In fact, we all know that even in the classes, we used to start the teasing with the paper rocket into the next, the other side of the classroom. It starts from that teasing and now it's become a crime. So it is a very nice way of she putting it together as a whole day's seminar is going to be on that. So ma'am, we thank you very much for being here with us today for this seminar. On behalf of FICCI and MMA, we'd like to thank her for being here. Mr. Murari has always been an inspiration for FICCI and he's been an advisor for all of us, and we'd like to thank him for being here this Saturday morning. We'd like to thank Mrs. Dipali Goyal, who readily agreed to be here to welcome the gathering today and from a busy schedule for being here with us. Thank you, ma'am. We really like to thank Captain Vijay Kumar and his wonderful team for the excellent support. It's working like as one team, not as two organizations. We worked as one team. I'd like to thank MMA for all the help and this sophisticated hall which has been given. And also seriously looking at the lunch, because he always kept telling, please stay back for lunch. We have an excellent lunch. So we're going to have a wonderful lunch today. Thank you, Captain, and all the entire team for the wonderful wonderful time. Mr. Vasant Kumar and the team of FICCI HR panel is really comprising of wonderful different experts. As he said, we have 20 people there, but each and every one brings a different kind of a perspective to the HR community. I'd like to thank the entire committee headed by Mr. Vasant Kumar for this excellent seminar. I used to wonder whether we'll really have it. I kept calling him. In fact, I used the word harassing him, whether we will have it or not. But at one day we said we're going to have it, and we see this. And we also had a doubt whom we have to invite. In fact, whenever we went with the invitation, whether men will attend or is only for women. I said men should attend more. And today when I see almost 40% of men and 60% of women, it's a good cause that this seminar is taken up today. Thank you very much, sir, for the entire committee for this wonderful seminar today, especially Mr. Rajappa, who is not here, for guiding us, and Mrs. Malini for this putting up this together. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank all the speakers who are going to come in after that for readily agreeing to be here with us. The delegates from both MMA and also from FICCI membership, we'd like to thank you for coming. I'd like to thank MMA for doing this live telecast today, which is going to many parts of India and all the world. I'd like to thank them for that arrangement we have done. Most importantly, our sponsors, without them, we can't have this. We'd like to thank the industry partner, L&T Construction, for being with us as a sponsor today, the academic partner, SRM University, for being with us, print partner, Indian Express, who has been very kind enough to join with us for such a sensitive program today, and also a memento partner, who's Kesa. I'd like to thank Vaishnavi and the entire team at FICCI for putting up this program today. We'd like to have a short break after this, and we're going to come and meet after the tea break. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day today. Thank you. How many minutes?
We request everyone to kindly assemble back in 15 minutes. We'll be starting the next session. Thank you.